Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Beyond the Curve. Let's dive into some conspiracies. Let's expose truth through the lies. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. And let's do it.
The moon landing's fake. Lizard people rule us, for goodness sake. Chemtrails in the sky, they're controlling our minds. This ringtone's the truth that everyone finds. It's the conspiracy theorist hotline, uncovering secrets all the time. If you hear this tone, then the truth will be told about aliens, Bigfoot, and conspiracies old. The earth is flat, the moon landing's fake. Lizard people rule us, for goodness sake. Chemtrails in the sky, they're controlling our minds. This ringtone's the truth that everyone finds. It's the conspiracy theorist hotline, uncovering secrets all the time. If you hear this tone, then the truth will be told about aliens, Bigfoot, and conspiracies old.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat, in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, otherwise known as HARP, jointly funded by the U.S. military and DARPA.
A lot of new people who want to know what this is and why it's happening. Can you give us an introduction?
Yeah, again, the term geoengineering, aka chemtrails, the layman's term for what we see happening in the skies, but this is weather modification on a global scale. In fact, these programs are so large and so all-encompassing that all other weather modification programs that go on a smaller regional basis are they're negated by the scope and scale of the global geoengineering programs. And these programs involve a number of aspects. You have the saturation of the atmosphere with various chemical and metal particulates. And there appear to be various purposes and objectives with this saturation. In conjunction with the saturation, which ionizes the atmosphere, it makes the atmosphere more conductive, we have the HARP facilities, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. These are ionosphere heaters. Many have heard of the HARP facilities. There's not just one or two or three. We believe there's at least 18 around the globe, possibly with 3 more being built in Antarctica right now. And once the atmosphere is saturated with these particulates, and then you add the ionosphere heaters, the entire weather system globally is virtually being thwarted. There is no natural weather at this point, and we really don't know what sort of climate conditions we would have necessarily if these programs were brought to a halt. And they desperately need to be brought to a halt because the saturation of the atmosphere is thwarting the hydrological cycle. It's totally disrupting the rain cycle. Again, we have the artificially nucleated snowstorms, which I just mentioned. You can't go from 100 degrees to snow in one day without a whole lot of help. This includes jet stream manipulation with the HARP facilities, and we are not guessing at this. We have monitoring sources for this signal, and we can see where the signal is most intense, and that's what steers the jet stream. So then you add artificial ice nucleation, which is a chemical nucleation process. They can turn what should have been rain into snow and drop the temperatures of these storm systems by this artificial chemical nucleation. This isn't sci-fi. This is hard science fact. The weather disseminating agencies are trying desperately their task, and they're all owned at the very top, it appears, by the Rothschilds and or other parts of the global elite complex. Rothschilds in particular are ownership of Weather Channel, Weather Central, Weather Underground. And it was imperative that they own these agencies, otherwise there would be great discrepancy in trying to explain away these events.
And you'll hear them all the time blaming God. I don't think you can blame God for what man is doing to other men and women and children.
Understanding the Heart Project.
Out in the middle of nowhere sits a forest of antennae, causing earthquakes and tsunamis, unimaginable chaos and ruin. Or so the conspiracy theory goes. In the second edition of Doom Tech, We're looking at the HARP research facility situated in Alaska, USA. Conspiracy theorists have linked the HARP project to earthquakes and tsunamis all over the globe. Calamities blamed on HARP by conspiracy theorists include the Haiti earthquake, which struck on 12th January 2010. The magnitude 7 earthquake killed over 3 lakh people. The Japan earthquake and tsunami of March 2011 have also been linked to HARP. The magnitude 9 quake killed over 18,000 people. The Chile earthquake and tsunami of February 2010 were also caused by HARP, according to some accounts. The 8.8 magnitude trembler caused over 500 deaths. A massive landslide in Philippines in 2006 has also been linked to HARP. It had killed more than 1,000 people. These conspiracy theories are not limited to some sections of the internet. Even some world leaders have openly propagated these claims. In 2010, then President of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, said recent floods in Pakistan had been caused by the HARP project's electromagnetic waves. He also accused European nations of draining rain clouds before they could reach Iran, causing water shortages in the Asian country. In the same year, then President of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, said a tectonic weapon being tested by America had caused the deadly Haiti earthquake. Chavez claimed that it was just a test run before America uses the weapon on Iran. Despite such loud proclamations, conspiracy theorists don't explain how some antennae in the US could cause quakes thousands of kilometers away. Instead, they claim that the details are closely guarded by the American government. So, what exactly is the HARP project? HARP is an acronym for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Its objective is to study the highest portions of the Earth's atmosphere. HARP sends high-frequency radio waves to the ionosphere. These radio waves heat electrons at altitudes above 60 kilometers. Then, scientists study the resulting perturbations in the ionosphere. The aim is to improve communication and navigation systems. HARP was managed by the US Air Force and Navy from 1990 to 2014. In 2015, the facility was handed over to University of Alaska Fairbanks. While HARP has not responded specifically to earthquake claims, it has responded to weather manipulation theories. HARP scientists have stated that the facility cannot control weather. Earth's weather is produced in the troposphere and stratosphere. HARP's radio waves don't interact with these lower layers of the atmosphere. Scientists have said that if ionospheric storms caused by the sun can't affect Earth's weather, then HARP definitely cannot. But
Bullshit.
A lot of people don't like the truth, but here it is. Our corrupt politicians have sold this nation out, sold you out, your future, your children. They've destroyed the economy. They're liquidating your future, stealing your tax dollars and sending it off all around the world. It's a fire sale.
The floods in Central Texas have now caused more deaths than Hurricane Harvey. And that's left a lot of people wondering what all had to go so wrong for something of this scale to happen. And the answer to that, it's a bit layered. First, the sheer amount of torrential rainfall. Moisture from the Pacific, Gulf, even remnants of Tropical Storm Barry inundated the area. At one point, state officials reported this river rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes. And this area is prone to flooding. It's even referred to as Flash Flood Alley because of the steep terrain and the rainfall patterns in the area. There's also really shallow soil, and beneath that soil is a layer of limestone, which, as you can guess, is not going to absorb any rainfall. But still, it's a popular area for camping and river trips. So a lot of the cabins and condos are built right along the banks of the river. Another issue is this rain dumped on the area in the early morning hours. So many people were sleeping when they received those National Weather Service alert texts, or they were in an area that didn't have cell coverage. As you can see, the county also doesn't have a public flood alert system. So by the time many people saw those waters rising, it was already too late.
If God were illegal, we would deport him. That was the statement made by the governor of Texas. And just hours later, something unimaginable happened. A catastrophic flood struck the state. Entire communities were destroyed. Families were torn apart. And at least 26 young girls at a camp disappeared without a trace. This wasn't just a natural disaster. It felt like something more. A response from the heavens. A warning that God is not to be mocked. It rained harder and longer than Texas had seen in years. In mere hours, streets turned into deadly rivers. The devastation resembled biblical proportions. People were left asking, was this divine punishment? Whether you believe in signs or not, one truth remains. Those who play with God's name often face consequences. The Bible teaches humility before the Creator. When pride takes over, destruction often follows. Let this be a reminder to leaders and citizens alike. God is real, and He must be honored. Comment Amen if you believe.
God is definitely real, but let's not blame God for something when man's playing God with the weather.
Believe in divine justice. Share this video so others don't forget. You don't mock God and walk away untouched.
Make sure everybody says a little prayer for the people in Texas.
There's people in it. There's so many people in it. Please tell me getting this video. Yeah, it's over.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh no. Oh my god. What the? Oh no.
Get out! Get out of your car!
Oh my god.
Texas was slammed by one of its deadliest flash floods in recent memory as torrential rain overwhelmed rivers and communities across the hill country. Rainfall totals surged far beyond forecasts, with up to 15 inches falling in less than 24 hours, and no region harder hit than the Guadalupe River corridor.
6:08 a.m. Guadalupe River at Nimitz Dam on Guadalupe Street.
In towns like Hunt and Kerrville, water levels exploded in a matter of minutes, with the Guadalupe River rising nearly 29 feet in just 45 minutes. Residents had little time to react as walls of water crashed through neighborhoods, sweeping away homes, vehicles, and camps in the dark.
That sounds natural. 29 feet in 45 minutes.
North Carolina, underwater. Today, July 7th, 2025. Flash floods ripped through towns with no warning. Streets turned to rivers, entire neighborhoods swallowed. And it all started with the remnants of one storm. Tropical Depression Chantal. In just hours, 4 to 10 inches of rain slammed central North Carolina, hitting hardest in Orange, Moore, and Chatham counties. Highways like I-40 and I-85, gone, submerged, cars stranded, homes flooded, people trapped. Emergency crews were stretched thin, over 50 water rescues, families pulled from apartments, children carried through waist-deep currents, some were stuck on rooftops, waiting. In Moore County, Longleaf Dam gave out. A wall of water hit homes downstream. Entire retaining walls collapsed in Southern Pines. State of emergency declared. No time to waste.
Prayers go out to everybody in North Carolina. Whoa! What? Where's Viv? Where's Viv? Prayers to everybody in New Mexico.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
No!
This flooding is going on all over the world, not just in the United States.
No! Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh my god! The coming yes! Oh my god!
Colorado and California, Texas and Idaho, they all have who will be held responsible if a mistake occurs that results in harm to human life or property damage. Is it fair to say acts of God would become a thing of the past?
Yes. So there are regulations right now throughout most states in America, particularly in the West, that require any weather modification operators have permits or licenses that are approved by the State Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Agriculture, Departments of Water Resources. And in order to get that permit or license, you have to use approved materials, you have to have certified meteorologists on staff, and you also have to have what are called suspension criteria. So if you make it rain or snow more, right, obviously one thing that people would be concerned about is if there were floods or avalanches. And what suspension criteria means is if there's already flood risk because a cloud is already naturally going to precipitate a lot, or if there's burn scars from wildfires that would cause really fast runoff and flooding, or if the soil moisture is already too high for the water to be absorbed into the soil and would cause flooding, or if there's too much snowpack and there's avalanche risk from having any more snow. Even if our customers want more water, we're regulated by the states in which we operate to not continue cloud seeding, to not continue making it rain or snow, to avoid causing any problems like that. And so if we don't adhere to those suspension criteria, then we would be held liable for any damage caused. And I think that's appropriate. And I wish the federal government had regulations that enforce that as well, rather than it just being done on a state-by-state basis. Now, with respect to the last part of that question, would that make acts of God a thing of the past? You can't totally manipulate or modify the weather the way that you could the air conditioning in your house at this point in time. It's a super complicated, super energetic system. We'll trend towards more and more of that as time goes on. So right now, if you were to cause flooding, that wouldn't be considered an act of God. You would have caused it. So Colorado and California, Texas and Idaho, they all have weather modification programs that the state funds.
How long have they had those programs?
So cloud seeding was invented in the United States. It's an American technology that was done for the first time in New York in 1946. So the very first effective weather modification operations were done in the 40s, after World War II. Then there have been a series of programs that have popped up either domestically or abroad in the decades in between. But we've never actually been able to prove that it works until 2017.
I call cap on that. You patented and invented weather modification in 1946, and you couldn't prove that it was working until 2017. Get the hell out of here.
A cloud seeding company is being blamed for the deadly flash floods in Texas. After devastating floods swept through central Texas, leaving over 80 people dead, people started pointing fingers at a company called Rainmaker. Their CEO, Augustus DeRico, had to publicly state that his company unequivocally had nothing to do with the flooding. He says the real cause was a tropical storm that blew into the state. To put it in perspective, he explained that his company's biggest mission ever produced about 10 million gallons of rain. That tropical storm? It dumped 4 trillion gallons. The scale is just completely different. DeRico also mentioned they are heavily regulated and had already proactively suspended all operations a day before any flood warnings were even issued. Meanwhile, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced she plans to introduce a bill to ban weather modification. So a technology designed to fight drought is now at the center of a huge debate.
I hear you whisper underneath your breath.
Creating rain in one place can literally steal it from another. You've probably heard of cloud seeding, when planes spray chemicals like silver iodide into clouds to force them to rain or snow. Countries are doing it to fight droughts, but it has a serious dark side. Those chemicals fall back to Earth, getting into our soil and water, potentially causing health issues and harming ecosystems. And it gets crazier. Forcing too much rain can trigger flash floods and landslides. Plus, if one country makes it rain, it can cause a drought in a neighboring region, leading to huge fights over who owns the sky. So while controlling the weather sounds like a superpower, we're messing with natural patterns without fully knowing the long-term consequences. It makes you wonder if the benefits are really worth the risk.
Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. But for years, People who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over. The Trump EPA is committed to total transparency. As a result, I tasked my team at EPA to compile a list of everything we know about contrails and geoengineering for the purpose of releasing it to you now publicly.
I think he meant to say chemtrails.
In other words, I want you to know everything I know about these topics and without any exception. Instead of simply dismissing these questions and concerns as baseless conspiracies, we're meeting them head on. We did the legwork, looked at the science, consulted agency experts, and pulled in relevant outside information to put these online resources together. Everything we know about contrails to solar geoengineering will be in there. That means anyone who reads through this information will know as much about these topics as I do as EPA administrator.
Do you really believe that?
Let's see some class. Look at this. So I flip this to L2, and then I bring this to 1, and fire. Now look at that. Five, fire. Okay, perfect.
Cloud seeding is the most common type of weather modification, and it has many different techniques and applications. Today, it's mostly used to increase rain and snowfall, reduce the size of hail, and reduce fog at airports.
Traditionally, cloud seeding has been done from the air. So airplanes have had racks on them where these same flares are positioned on the airplane, and the airplane flies into the storm. So in order to reduce the cost to the client and reduce our carbon footprint, we've been able to station these on the ground. Now, we can do this in places where weather permits.
Behind a barbed wire fence designed to keep away curious cattle, the cloud seeding gear awaits the right kind of weather.
So these are referred to as AHOGs. That stands for Automated High Output Ground Seeding Systems. We've got 3 primary components of our equipment here. The first is the control module that you see behind me. Then we have our actual cloud seeding flares. The cameras for security. It also helps us observe weather conditions in real time and make sure that all of the equipment is operating correctly during a storm. Inside these canisters are the flares with the seeding agents. The canisters are used as spark arresters, so they prevent sparks from reaching the ground. So we pull off the spark arrestor, you can see the flare inside. The ignition of the flares are controlled from a control module that's behind us. So the white triangle there is a cell service modem, and then the solar panel keeps us powered. Inside we have a battery and then a control board. So the control board interacts with the software. We're linked or synced with the software.
I don't know if you call it that. He said solar power, but then there's a battery inside. So is it being powered by the sun or is it being powered by this battery? So almost everything you're told is a lie. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Currently, and that allows us to fire or ignite any of the flares from that remote location.
Because of the lack of clouds and proper wind conditions, today is not a good day for cloud seeding at all. But Garrett and his team are going to light a flare for us anyway, so we can show you how it works. There's just one small problem. The battery in the control module died shortly before we arrived, but it's nothing a little jump start can't fix. After a little juice from Garrett's truck, it's time to set off the flare.
The primary seeding agent in this is silver iodide. Silver iodide is a simple compound. It's polar in nature like water, so there's chemical properties that help attract water molecules to silver iodide. It's also structured molecularly similar to ice. So it helps generate or helps spawn the generation of ice buildup, and then that becomes a hailstone or a snowflake that falls here primarily as rain. So one flare like this has billions and billions of potential sites for that water to congregate around. We'll launch them in sequences. We watch the radar to see when bands of the highest concentration of liquid water are passing above us in the clouds, and we try to target those high concentration pockets in the storm systems. We'll launch between 3 and 20 flares for a typical storm. Once the flare is lit, it takes a little bit of time to carry up into the clouds, and once it's up at the proper elevation, it'll take about 20 minutes to instigate the rain or the snow process. So overall, you're probably looking at about 40 to 45 minutes before you're seeing the maximum result. And that's why we're stationed miles away from our target area. So we have very specific targets that drain directly into major water basins, and we time these events to correlate with rain above those intended targets. One of the big
Anyone that says the weather's being controlled or manipulated, it's just crazy, right?
Need of geoengineering. We have Rainmaker coming on the Sean Ryan Show to tell us about their program, their project, everything they're doing with cloud seeding. Now he gets on there and he says some nice things like they want to provide water to farmland and things like that. Those are good intentions. But they're rethinking the fundamentals of precipitation enhancement at the microphysical level to develop new cloud seeds that are more effective and environmentally friendly. See, that's the problem. They got a bunch of metals in there that are dropping into our food, into our soil, and poisoning us. And now Texas is calling out Rainmaker to answer on whether they were doing any cloud seeding before this big flood that happened. I mean, we've already had plenty of proof, but there's still people that believe it's not real. Well, here's your proof. Like, there's companies that do this, getting paid to do it, and it's sanctioned by certain states. Like, this is undeniable proof for it.
Colorado, in California, Texas, and Idaho, they all have who will be held responsible if a mistake occurs that results in harm to human life or property damage. Is it fair to say acts of God become a thing of the past? Yes.
Can we engineer the weather? Cloud seeding is a form of weather modification that can produce what we want more or less of, more rain or snow, or even smaller hail pellets. China is building the world's largest weather modification system to artificially enhance rain that will cover an area of over 2.1 million square miles by 2025. Today, at least 52 countries across the globe are using some sort of weather modification program. While it may sound too good to be true, the technology has been around for more than 75 years. Clouds are made up of tiny water droplets. Groups of droplets form water vapor or ice crystals. By itself, this water vapor isn't dense enough to fall to the ground as precipitation. Instead, it rises until it becomes supercooled and condenses around tiny particles of dust in the sky, called condensation nuclei. It takes billions of these condensed water droplets to form a visible cloud. In cloud seeding, a seeding agent is used as the condensation nuclei. Typical seeding agents are chemicals such as silver iodide, potassium iodide, or solid carbon dioxide. These are shot into clouds by rockets or sprayed into clouds using drones or aircraft. Unattached supercooled water vapor molecules in the clouds condense around these particles. The condensed water vapor droplets then group together, becoming larger and heavier. This process continues until the droplets are large enough to fall as rain. Recently, the UAE created artificial rain using drones. These drones targeted certain clouds with electrical discharges through concentrated lasers to force water droplets to pool in the air, triggering the desired rainfall. Today, the largest cloud seeding system in the world is found in China. China creates 55 billion tons of artificial rain a year. Other countries are also looking to ramp up cloud seeding efforts in the hope of increasing precipitation. Thailand has an ambitious aim to remove water shortages in 98% of the country's drought-affected areas by 2037. The idea behind cloud seeding is to create rain in regions that are most affected by droughts, thus reducing the impact of droughts. In 2015, cloud seeding increased the local rainfall in Texas by about 34%. The technology can also be used to manage hail. According to an estimate, hailstorms in the U.S. cause an average of $15 billion in damage to homes, cars, and crops each year. Cloud seeding increases the number of ice pellets in hail-producing clouds, but decreases the size of each pellet. This can reduce the damage caused by hail. Cloud seeding can also clear away fog by turning it into precipitation, improving visibility around airports. But there is a catch. For cloud seeding to work, specific atmospheric conditions must exist. Cloud seeding can't create clouds. It can only add particles to clouds which interact with the water vapor already present in the air. Also, cloud seeding does not always go as planned. In 2009, China performed cloud seeding in an attempt to end a drought, resulting in a temperature drop and a snowstorm that closed roads around Beijing. There are also concerns about unwanted ecological changes. Rain in one area might bring drought to another, which could lead to ecological imbalances. After all, water that falls from the sky must go somewhere. If that extra precipitation falls in a place where it cannot be absorbed into the ground, then it could trigger flooding. Today, water shortages and floods affect every continent. Around 1.2 billion people, or almost 1/5 of the world's population, live in water-scarce areas. Another 500 million people face intermittent scarcity, and around 1.47 billion are directly exposed to the risk of intense flooding.
There are no water shortages, if you ask me. It's all engineered that way, so certain people get water, certain people don't. Certain places get floods or blizzards or what have you. Well, those are all the videos I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you know whether modification and manipulation is real. It's not a conspiracy. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, leave some comments, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.